Dang it.
What's up?
Restream. Okay. Destinations. Who's not going? Okay, we're streaming fine. And watch it crash on me now. There we go.
It crashed?
No, we're fine. 49, 48 seconds.
It's actually easier for me to look on your screen from where I'm sitting.
Can you see mine?
Yeah, I can see the one on the right better. Like when I look at this one, I have to like look down. I look away from the camera. So
Huh,
this
that's
one,
fine.
I can look at your screen.
Whatever it takes, I'm good with it.
No, I'm good.
3, 2. Hey, Rick.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of On the Hunt with Alpine Optics. We're a few minutes late tonight, but everything's going good right now, so hopefully it'll last throughout the show. Anyways, we've got a great show lined up for you this evening. We're going to talk a little bit about some tech things on optics, and we're going to share with you a couple of new items that you're really going to, I think, be impressed with. So we'll see you back with our guest right after this opener. And welcome back, everybody, on this beautiful Wednesday evening. I hope everybody's enjoying the middle of the work week. A couple more days and we'll have the weekend coming. But anyways, hey guys, my guest tonight is comes right from the corporate office, and he is probably one of the few that I know that knows more about optics than anybody else that I know, anyways. But Mr. Lance McCutchen, Lance, how you doing this evening?
Good. How are you doing?
And Lance,
Yes.
your audio died.
Looks like, hey, maybe we do have a few technical difficulties.
That's hilarious. We've been working on Rick's audio because he couldn't hear us, and then we come back. Now we're missing his. That's hilarious. Hang on a second. It's got me hung up here. Let me go
All right.
to
Well,
my
can
audio
I go ahead and
settings.
talk while you're figuring that out, or?
I, I suppose, Rick, if you really want to.
Well, I didn't. I don't. So, anyways, listen. When you guys get it figured out, jump right in. But Lance is from the factory, and Lance is instrumental in, not only is he one of our national sales managers, but he's very instrumental in designing and making sure that our products are top of the line. They're working the way they're supposed to. We get all the functions that we want in all the products, the scopes and everything are working exactly the way that we want them to. So, and he is the guy that I always go to when I buy maybe a new gun, and what scope would you put on this gun, and he knows that stuff. So we're going to share some of his knowledge this evening on some of that, and then like we've done the last couple of weeks, just if you're on the show, stay till the end, because we do have a little something that we're going to give away towards the end of the show here tonight. So not saying we're going to do it every week, but we're going to try, and I do have something lined up for this evening. So
Can you hear
get
me?
your
Can you hear
thinking
me, Rick?
hats on. I got you, Lance. I got you.
All right. A little bit better.
Yeah, I was going to call Mayday here in a minute, but we're good to go. I was just telling the folks a little bit about yourself and the role that
Yeah.
you play as national sales manager and as our tech guy. I mean, when we design
Yep.
products, or you are instrumental in all that stuff. So,
Yep.
just to maybe get going, and I know you've been on the show before, and one of the questions that I get asked by a lot of people, and also you folks listening and watching the show tonight, please fire out some questions, because this is the guy to ask, and Paul can let us know what those questions are, and you'll have the answers to those questions. But Lance, one of the questions I get asked a lot is, a couple things. What scope should I put on a specific gun, and what optics do I want for a specific type of hunting? Now I know there's lots of different types of hunting. There's Western hunting. There's here in the Midwest. There's long range. There's close up. So there's lots of things to think about. Dark timber, open country, so on and so forth. But maybe give us a little bit of a rundown on some of those questions that I get asked all the time.
Yeah. So, I mean, as far as like rifle scopes go, I usually tell people to match your rifle scopes to what binoculars you're using. If you keep it close, then what you use in the field with your binos is going to match what you're looking at through your rifle scope. Typically shorter distance shooters, the guys that are using shotguns, typically things that aren't going out to maybe not even over 300 yards, which, I mean, there's some muzzleloaders that can reach out there. There's even some shotguns that can reach out there. But if you're keeping it under 300 yards, I would say like up to about a 6 power. Once you break that 300-yard range, you can go all the way up to a 20 or a 24 power, out to about 800 to 900 yards. Anything further than that, basically you're going to get the largest magnification you can possibly get. And that's when a lot of people start looking at different mill reticles or MOA reticles and things like that to kind of help with quick adjustments when you're doing those longer shots. There's a lot to that. But I always tell everybody, your gun never changes, you do. So you'll change the rounds, you make the slight changes of how you hold the gun, or how much fingers in the trigger, how nervous you are on the shot. So the gun pretty much does what it's going to do every time. So you can rely on your optics to extend what your gun is going to do, and that will allow that gun to do every single shot the same. You just have to make sure that you are doing the same thing every single time. But the longer the distance, that's when you start getting into really having to understand like your rifle scope, really understanding your bullets, really understanding your gun, and also understanding, I mean, it's elevation, barometric pressure. Certain distances, it could be the curvature of the earth is actually changing all of that. So you really get into some pretty crazy extensive stuff once you pass a certain yardage. And I would say between 600 and 800 yards is kind of that max range. Once you get further than that, it really kind of tends to jump pretty hardcore. But I know, like in Iowa, isn't it? Like in Iowa, it's only smoothbore only.
Well, it's no, in Iowa it's shotgun and now straight wall jacket.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
you're 200 yard guns.
that's right,
So
exactly.
in Iowa, you guys could stick with a lot wider field, rifle scope, like a 1 to 6, and you can still use like a mil dot or a bullet drop compensation reticle of some type, and then just go out and practice with your gun, and you can learn what your gun does at those different distances. Because if you change the bullet, that can change where it hits. If you're out there on a really windy day and stuff like that, that can actually change the impact hit, especially at longer distances. Um, but I
Lance,
typically, like I said,
explain. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
no, you're
explain the
good.
difference in the reticles. You're talking about mil dot, and some people don't really understand what that is.
Nice.
Kind of, I lost his audio there.
I think the whole thing's going down.
So I kind of lost your audio about halfway through. But the difference on like MOA and mill, so mill radians and MOA is minute of angle, and mil radians is actually mils. So it's 0.1 mil, say, for every click. So if you think of 10 clicks as like 1 mil. If you're doing it now, there's some things you can go online and actually look up, and it'll give you the actual measurements. I'll tell you right now, mil radians are much easier. You can even range targets with mil radians. So if your rifle scope is a mil dot rifle scope, you can actually potentially use it to range your target. There's a few things you have to kind of know, like if you know about how tall a deer is, or about how tall an elk is at the shoulder, you could actually use that to range that target. So there's a few things you have to kind of, as a known, you have to have a known number. But in still in measuring those distances, or